Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Gayle, and today we're going to focus on a yoga practice that will help us to become more resilient. So being resilient is so important because things are going to happen that we're going to need to be able to bounce back from. We're going to fall down, and it's really about how many times we get up. And being resilient takes a balance of strength and flexibility. It's the willingness to learn from our experiences and to not give up. So I wanted to share a quote with you from Jack DeWalt. When you learn how to become resilient, we learn how to embrace the beautifully broad spectrum of the human experience. So I think for this practice, it would be nice to have blocks or some books or some water bottles, something to give you a little extra height. And a blanket is always nice to have. So grab your stuff and let's get started. So let's start on our backs. Bring your feet a little wider than your hips and just let your knees rest in comfortably on each other. You can place one hand on your belly and one hand on your chest. So you can feel the breath move easily. You can feel it in your body, and you can have that extra sensory perception of your hands on your belly and your chest so that you can feel the movement. And if you don't feel the movement there, just focus on moving the breath into your hands. The breath is one of our biggest sources of resiliency, and the breath is always moving, always going in and out. It helps us to recover from stress. It makes a big difference in how healthy we are, how easily we can breathe, and how fully we breathe. And the breath has this, it has this power and a softness to it. So just take a moment to tune into your breath and feel the resiliency, the buoyancy, the power of your breath. And release your hands by your sides. Bring your feet about hip distance apart, just fairly close to your hips. Press your feet into the floor to feel that resistance, that foundation of the floor. And then as you inhale, lift your hips up, reach your arms up all the way over your head. And as you exhale, bring your arms back as you lower your back and your hips all the way to the floor. And just keep repeating, moving with your breath. Try not to let your knees splay out from the midline, but keep them in line with your feet and your hips. And try not to rush either the arms or the hips coming up, but instead see if you can find that they both move kind of together. So see if you can feel that the breath is leading the way. And that you feel the energy of the breath helping to lift you up and then lower you down. Now just hug your knees into your chest and just start to notice if you feel any shifts from focusing on the breath and just gently moving the spine. Reach your right leg up and interlace your fingers on the back of your right thigh. Bring your leg into a position where you feel a hamstring stretch, but it's not too much, and you can pretty much straighten your leg. So for some of you, it might be more, your leg might be closer to your chest, and for others of you, it might be further away, and you might not even be able to straighten your leg, but just you want to feel some kind of stretch. And begin to lower your heel to release the stretch and lift it up. Really push out through your heel and feel a stretch all the way from your heel all the way into your hips and maybe even further up into your back. So just move nice and slowly, feeling that like that elasticity, that stretch in your hamstrings, or maybe a little lack of it right now. But just keep moving and try not to like overdo it, but just notice if you just move mindfully and kind of slowly so you can really sense what's going on in your muscles and in your whole body and even in how you feel mentally. Then straighten your left leg. Take your left hand to the outside of your right leg. So it could be by your foot, it could be by your calf, or even on your thigh. Open your right arm out to the side and then slowly begin to twist, bringing your right leg all the way over to the left until it gently touches the floor. Let your shoulders relax and just notice where there might be tightness. And instead of trying to force your shoulder to the floor, your right shoulder to the floor if it's not on the floor, just think of relaxing and letting it release down. From here, we're going to do a little bit of active stretching and then a little bit of passive, like relaxing. So start by pressing your outside of your left leg into the floor and trying to lift your right leg up into your hand. You feel your body engaged and then relax and let go. And we'll do this 2 more times. So press the outside of your foot, your left leg into the floor, the bottom leg, and try and lift the top leg up, but don't let it lift. Keep it down with your hand and then relax. And then 1 more time, engage, pressing into resistance, and then let everything relax and just soften. And start to bring your right hip back to the floor, which is going to bring your right leg back up. Release your leg, lower your leg down. Notice how you feel. Notice the difference between the 2 sides. And then bend both knees again. Bring your left leg up. Interlace your fingers on the back of your left thigh. Find that spot that's going to give you a nice hamstring stretch, not excruciating, but a good stretch. It might be that your leg is touching your chest, and it might be that your leg is way out and your knee is slightly bent. So just find the place that works for you right now. And begin to lower your heel down and lift it up into the stretch. And just keep stretching until you feel at least a little bit of stretch in the back, even in the back of your knee. We're not going to hold it for very long, so we're just going to come in and out of it. Like, in order to be resilient, we need to take care of ourselves. And we need to not like try and force something or demand too much, but really listen and learn and kind of go with the flow of things in the moment. So then from here, we're going to straighten the right leg. Take the right hand across to the outside of the left leg. It can be any place along your leg. Open your left arm out to the side, and then slowly, with control, to the best of your ability, bring your leg across. Now, if you need some support underneath, feel free to use a blanket or a block. But if you can slowly roll all the way over, that's what we're kind of working towards. Now, you might end up with your leg down here instead of up here. So this, might feel different today than tomorrow or than it did yesterday. So it's always important to listen to what's going on in the moment. And from here, press your right leg into the floor. Try and lift your left leg up so you feel your muscles engage, and then relax. Do that 2 more times. So press down with the right leg, up with the left leg. It won't maybe look like you're doing much of anything, but you should feel it in your body. And 1 more time. Press down with the right leg, up with the left leg. And then just let everything relax. Soften. Notice if there's been any kind of shift. And then we'll slowly begin to bring that left hip to the floor, reaching the left leg up. Release your leg, open your arms out to the side, lower your leg down. And just again, notice how you feel. and let yourself relax. So see if you can start to be able to come in and out of relaxation fairly easily and fairly quickly. So it doesn't take you super long time to relax, but you just find it happening pretty easily. And hug your knees into your chest and hold the back of your thighs. Tuck your chin and start to rock forward and back. Nice, gentle rocking motion. And then we'll rock all the way up and come onto our hands and knees in tabletop. It's always a good idea if you want your hands and wrists to last. It's a good thing to practice like stretching them out a little bit and strengthening them, being aware of how you use your hands. So let's start by turning our fingers out to the side and rocking side to side. And feel the pressure shift in your hands. And then you can do some circles around your hands. And switch direction of your circles. Well, if you can, rotate your hands a little further, rotate your fingers so they're facing back toward your knees and start to rock forward and back. Just nice and gently and slowly, feeling that stretch in the back of your wrists. And you come back to center and flip your hands so the palms are facing up, fingers facing each other, and start to curl, making a fist with your hands and then releasing the fingers. So if you can, keep your elbows straight. If you can't, give them a little bend. And this is pretty much an active stretch because we're using our muscles to curl the fingers in and then release them. And come back into your tabletop, grip the mat with your hands a little bit so there's some sponginess, some resiliency in your hands, and try and shift your weight forward so you're not just pressing all your weight into the heel of your hands. So hopefully the heels of your hands feel comfortable now. Then shift your weight back to your heels, and then as you inhale, round your spine, come forward. And even go past your wrists if you can, and as you exhale, lift your hips and stretch all the way back to your heels. And just keep that motion going, nice and fluid and continuous. So you're moving your spine. It's so important to have a spine that is resilient and flexible and fluid. And next time you're on your hips, slide your hands forward, let your hips lift up. Bringing your chest as close to the floor as is available for you right now. Try not to push too much into your armpits, but keep a little lift underneath the armpits. And rise up, come all the way forward, lowering your thighs to the floor. Actively point your toes and gently press your toes into the ground. And start to draw your shoulders back as you engage your glutes. Lifting up through the ribs. And walk your hands forward, coming into Sphinx pose so that your elbows are right underneath your shoulders, and let your back, your body relax more toward the floor so that maybe you're getting close to the lower ribs touching the floor and really opening up that low back. And just focus on your breath here and the exhale, relaxing, and just notice if you start to feel more opening in your low back, more engagement in upper back between the shoulder blades. And it's really important to open up the quads. That really helps to protect our knees, and the knees help us get up and down. They're very important. So bring your left hand across the mat, bend your right knee. And if you actually look back at your foot and kind of twist, it's going to be a lot easier for you to find your foot than if you're leaning forward, trying to find your foot. So look back, find your foot, bring your knee in a little bit, and begin to gently stretch your heel towards your hip and then let it release. So this is a passive stretch now. I'm using my hand to bring my heel closer to my hip. if I was just to try and do it without my hand, that's about as close as I could get. And it actually starts to cramp my hamstrings. So just like gently come in and out of the stretch. And release your foot, and same thing other side. So gently finding that little bit of a spring from the passive stretch to where maybe you could hold the stretch without your hand. You're not trying to force it the whole time, but just come in and out of the stretch. And then release your foot. Stretch your arms forward and reach back through your toes and forward through your fingertips. As you inhale, reach your arms and legs up. And then exhale, pull your elbows back, keeping the chest lifted. Inhale, reach forward. Exhale, back. And inhale forward. This is a lot of work and strength building in your back. You know that saying, got your back? You want your back to have you, to be there when you need it, to hold you up, to create that sense of resiliency. So just 2 more times. Good, then lower your legs down, lower your hands down, curl up into your cobra. And then exhale, lower down. Tuck your toes. Press back up into plank and back to downward facing dog. Take a couple breaths here. Again, really gripping the mat with your hands and trying to press your hands forward without moving them so that your hips go back. And you want to feel a lift underneath your ribs so that you're not collapsing like this, but you're actually lifting up. Step your left foot in a little bit, reach your right leg up, and bend your knee, bring your knee forward, touch your arm. Inhale, stretch your leg back. Exhale, bend your knee, reach across to the left, and see if you can tap. And we'll just do that 2 more times each side. Really reach back and hug in and touch. And stretch it back and hug in and touch. And just 1 more time. And this time we'll step it forward, coming into crescent lunge. So hug your knee up nice and high. Step your foot forward. This will give you a little break from your hands if the wrists were starting to bother you at all. So engage your legs, push firmly into both feet, and inhale, rise up with your breath. Let the breath lift you, and even feel like you can kind of lift up with the inhale and relax down a little bit with the exhale. And then bring your hands back down and step back, downward facing dog. And then we'll do the same thing with the left leg. So step the right foot in a little bit, reach the left leg up, and exhale, bring your knee in, touch your arm, inhale, stretch it back. Exhale, come across. And inhale, stretch it back. 2 more times. Going from really crunching in to hold that leg up as you come forward, and then reaching back to stretch things out. And then we'll come all the way forward, coming into crescent lunge. So hug that knee in nice and tight. Step your foot forward. Gather your energy towards the midline and inhale. Rise up. And again, find that lift with your inhale, and then just a softening with exhale. Lifting up and lowering. Bring your hands back down and step back, downward facing dog. Bend your knees, lower your knees to the floor, then rest in child's pose. So it's important for resiliency to take time to rest, to balance work with relaxation. And then lift up, tuck your toes again, stretch back to your down dog. And walk your feet forward to your hands. So we're going to practice squatting, lowering, and lifting. So kind of like the idea of not falling down, but coming back from the floor and lifting up toward the sky. So start to lower your hips until your hips are close to your heels, and then start to lift up again. So your hips lift up, and just go nice and slowly, lowering the hips down and lifting the hips up. So do the best you can, knowing that with practice, things will start to shift and change. And so an add-on could be when you lift up, so this is optional, you can place your hand and start to lean into your hands, trying to bring your hips right up over your shoulders, coming up onto your tippy toes. And then lower down, lower the hips down. And we'll just do 2 more, your variation, your choice. So just being able to get up and down is so important. And bring your heels back down. Walk your feet in till they're hip distance apart. And lift up to a long spine. So if you can stretch that spine out in kind of a straightish line. And then exhale, bow. Press into your feet. Inhale, rise all the way up. And exhale, hands to your heart. Pause for a moment. Notice the feeling in your feet and how that kind of relates all the way up your body, up to the crown of your head. Now inhale, reach your arms up. Then on an exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift and lengthen your spine. Place your hands down, step back to plank. Lower your knees down, but try and keep a lift in your back so that you're not collapsing, but keep a nice lift. And bend the elbows, lower halfway down and pause. And lower your thighs down and curl up into your cobra. On your exhale, lower down, tuck your toes, and press back, downward facing dog. Step your left foot in a little bit. Inhale, reach your right leg up. Exhale, bring your knee forward, your foot forward, coming into crescent lunge again. And then inhale, rise up with your breath. And exhale, open up into your twist. So try and stay as steady here as you can. Bend your left elbow. Now your elbow can go to the top of your thigh or to the outside of your knee. Bring your right hand together with your left hand and open up that top shoulder, reaching back through the back foot, drawing your chest toward your hands. And then come back out just the way we came in, staying in the twist. Reach the bottom hand forward and up. And on an exhale, hands down, downward facing dog. So just move mindfully with a sense of balance, a sense of paying attention so that you're not trying to rush through things. Lift up your right leg in a little bit. Inhale, reach the left leg up. Exhale, hug your knee into your chest, step your foot all the way forward. Spread out through the toes, hug the inner thighs towards each other. Inhale, rise up. On your exhale, twist to your left. And bend your right elbow, bring it to the outside of your left knee or on the top of your thigh. And try and open up that left shoulder, keeping the legs nice and strong. And release back into your twist. Bring the back arm forward. And then hands down, step back, downward facing dog. And give yourself a nice long stretch. You can bend the knees and kind of straighten the legs, feeling the flexion of your ankles, the stretch of your calves. And bend your knees, look towards your hands, and either walk forward or maybe this time you want to hop forward. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, bow. Press into the earth. Inhale, rise all the way up. And exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, reach toward the sky. And exhale, bow to the earth. Inhale, lengthen through your spine. Exhale, place your hands, step back to plank. So we're going to lower through chaturanga again. Now, if you've done this a lot and you feel like you can keep the lift and keep the strength in your arms and your shoulders without compromising your shoulders, you can keep the knees up. Otherwise, lower your knees like we did before. I'm going to demo with the knees up this time. Try and keep your elbows in and lifted through the shoulders, and then lower down. Roll up into your cobra. Exhale, lower. Press back, downward facing dog. Step the left foot in, inhale, reach the right leg up. Exhale, pull your knee into your chest, step your foot all the way forward. Inhale, rise up with your breath. And then we're just going to shift our weight into the front leg, push off the back leg, bring your back foot forward, and step it back. Nice and slow with control. So on your inhale, reach forward, bring your back leg up, and exhale, reach it back. One more time, reach forward, lift the back knee up, and stretch it back. Rise up with your breath. And on an exhale, lower your hands down and step back to your down dog. Step your right foot in, reach your left leg up. Exhale, knee to chest, step your foot forward to your hands. Inhale, rise up. And start to shift your weight slowly into your left foot, bring the right leg forward, and gently reach it back. So you land nice and softly. That's the idea here, that we're moving with as much control and grace and ease as possible. And last one. Reach it back. Hands down, downward facing dog. Lower your knees to the floor. We're going to work on opening up the hips and finding that range of motion, like being controlled by the hips, not using momentum with our legs. So stretch your right leg out behind you and lift your right leg up. So don't let your back sag to lift your leg up higher. Think of lifting up through the ribs so that your leg actually can't lift up too high. Then start to stack your hips and parallel the hips. So notice I'm not stacking by swinging my leg back. I'm stacking by moving through the hip joint so that my leg isn't really like moving back at all. And we're going from parallel hips to vertical or stacked hips. And lower your knee down, and we'll do the same thing other side. So stretch out through your foot, lift your leg up, and begin to stack back and forth. Good, and then lower your leg down, tuck your toes. Make sure that you have your blocks handy now. So we're gonna play with some half moon, like going from half moon to revolved half moon. So tuck your toes, stretch back to your down dog. Again, lift your right leg up and step it all the way forward. Now where you place your block is important. You don't want to place it way up here or way out to the side or kind of right by your foot. But just like, 8 to 12 inches in front of your foot so that it kind of lines up with the outside edge of your foot. So just shift your weight forward and lift the back leg up. So first coming into like parallel hips. And then start to stack your left hip over the right as you release your left hand from the floor. Start to stack your shoulders. Woo! Keeping this top leg nice and strong and open up. Maybe you start with your gaze down and try and lift it up. Also try not to keep a lot of weight in this hand, but it's almost like you could lift your hand up off the block and lower hand back down, and step it back, downward facing dog. We'll do the same thing with the other side. So I'm gonna lift the left leg up, step it all the way forward, place the block, and lift the right leg up. So square the hips initially, so the toes point down, and then stack your hips. Start to bring that right arm up, stacking the shoulders, keeping the top leg strong. Try and, keep everything nice and engaged. Again, not too much weight on this bottom hand. And lower your hand back down, step back, downward facing dog. And we'll do a couple of spinal rolls from down dog to plank. So as you inhale, round your spine forward to plank, and exhale, arch back to your down dog. And just find that rhythmic flow. And then we'll do our half moon to revolved half moon. So reach your right leg up and step it all the way forward. Same thing we did before, so make sure you have the block in the place that's going to support this alignment, and lift your back leg up off the ground. So your legs are parallel. Stack your left hip over the right hip and start to stack your shoulders, reaching that left arm up. Keep the leg really active and try and find length from your foot all the way out through the crown of your head. Try not to lean into your hand too much. Then we're going to bring our hand down to the block on the other side and square the hips. The key is to try and keep this left leg up high. Try not to let it drop, but keep it lifted. And start to open up and twist to the right. And lower down. We're going to do this back and forth 2 more times. So open up, stack the hips, reach your arm up, maybe reach the gaze up. You can start playing with that. And woo! See, so we all fall. It's like get back up again. Come back into that half moon and lower your hand down, square the hips and twist. And then come back. So you can do this at your own pace. Make little adjustments as you move. And this is really good for strengthening the glutes. And step your foot back. And back to downward facing dog. And we'll take a little rest. So you can rest in child's pose, you can rest in your down dog. And then we'll try it on the left side. So step your right foot in a little bit, reach the left leg up. Hug your knee in, step your foot all the way forward. Place your block so it's in a position that's, again, going to support you, not throw you off balance. Come onto your left foot, lift your right leg up, and start with parallel hips. And start to mindfully stack your hips. Start to stack your shoulders. Reach your arm up. Whoa. And maybe then you reach the gaze up. Try not to shift the weight too far forward in your foot. And start to bring your hand down, squaring the hips. And twist to your left. So my right leg really wants to drop. I'm trying to hold it up. And we'll go back and forth 2 more times. So stack the hips, stack the shoulders. Try to use the muscles of your core and your legs so that you don't rely just on leaning into the block too much. So part of being resilient is being willing to try things that are challenging. So this is challenging for me. I'm guessing it might be challenging for you. But when we kind of repeat and practice, we figure out the little nuances that are going to make things a little more available to us. And lower your hands down. Bring your hands down, step back, downward facing dog. And bend your knees. Rest in your child's pose. And from your child's pose, lift up, tuck your toes, stretch back to your down dog. And walk your feet forward to your hands. Spread the feet apart and we'll come into that squat again. So lowering the hips to the floor. You can bring your hands together and just start to circle around on your feet. Feeling that shift of weight. And feeling that motion guided by your breath. And reverse the direction of your circles. And lower your hips to the floor. Stretch your legs forward and slowly lower onto your back. Gently hug your knees into your chest. And we'll do a little twist. So you can always place a block between your knees. Just rest your arms out to the side and slowly bring your legs over to the right. And you can turn your head to the left. And just let everything relax here. Noticing if your body feels a little more open to this twist. And if you can truly relax both shoulders all the way down through your spine, into your hips, down your legs, into your feet. Now to come back onto our backs, instead of thinking of lifting your legs up, think of drawing that left hip back to the mat. You might want to shift your hips a little bit. And you might want to bring your heels away from your hips. So heels can be down towards your hips or away. And again, twist over to the side, this time to the left. And turn your head to the right. Letting yourself relax. And again, pull that right hip back down to bring your legs back up. Separate your feet, come into your happy baby and just gently rock side to side. And release your feet, lower your feet to the floor. Grab a block, lift your hips up. Place the block underneath your sacrum. So that would be just below your waist. So on that triangular shaped, flat-ish bone, it's not completely flat. Because we're not linear beings. We've got a lot of shapes to us, roundnesses. And bring your feet up in the air. Right. You can balance them right over your hips, letting the shoulders relax. So there's going to be like this weight that's drawing from your toes all the way down your legs into your hips. And then up through your torso, into your shoulders, and out through your hands. So see if you can feel like you're almost suspended in time. That there's no effort having your feet up in the air. But notice how it feels different. Because we don't usually have our feet up above our heart or our head. And just notice whatever sensations you're feeling. Notice your breath again. Is it moving easily? And do you feel that replenishment with every inhale and that detoxification with every exhale? Now just start to circle your ankles, really going slowly, seeing how much you can evert the outside and invert to the inside. And change the direction of your circles. Again, moving really slowly and mindfully. Spread your toes. Let's see if you can pull your big toes forward and stretch your other 4 toes back. And we do this on the ground a lot. And then pull your big toes back and stretch your other toes forward. And just see if you can play with that back and forth. Stretching out through the toes, working those muscles, all those, like, I don't know how many muscles. We got so many muscles in our feet. It's amazing. All different sizes and shapes. But can we use them, or are they just kind of forgotten? And then bring the big toes together, reaching your heels apart for a big internal rotation of the hips. And then bring the heels together, turn the toes way out for a big external rotation. And just go back and forth like that. Charlie Chaplin feet. And then this really extreme pigeon toe. And then you can bend your knees, bring your feet back to the floor, lift your hips up, move the block off to the side, slowly lower your hips all the way down, and stretch your legs out for Savasana. And really take that time to let your back settle in, to just feel the whole body relax. And notice how the mind follows the body. Sometimes the body follows the mind, but they're definitely interconnected. They definitely work to support each other, influence each other. And just let yourself settle into this deep, deep relaxation. Give yourself permission to let go, to not be in control, and to feel that sense of a deep darkness that is protective, that takes you out of your thinking mind and into your feeling mind. So that you have a sense of your whole body, from the tip of your toes to the tip of your fingers to the tip of your head. Feel or allow all your muscles to relax. Muscles around the face, the muscles around your eyes, the muscles around your throat and your shoulders, and those long, lean muscles down your arms, into your hands and out through your fingers. And the mass of muscles in your chest, in your sternum area, all through the abdominals and the back muscles and the glutes, hip flexors, let them all relax. Down through the big thigh muscles, the strong hamstring muscles, the potentially strong hamstring muscles, and down through the calves and the shins and your ankles, all the way into all those complicated muscles in your feet. So I hope you liked this video. I hoped it to help you feel a sense of more resiliency, that ability to bounce back, to recover from difficult times. And when you think about it, Savasana is like a great resiliency practice, especially if you've challenged yourself during your practice and pushed into your edges. That sense of allowing relaxation and letting go. Please just hit the like button if you like this video. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed, and tell your friends if you are subscribed. Share this video with others and leave me a comment. I would love to hear what you feel after this practice, what you're thinking, any questions you might have. And have a great day or evening. Namaste.